Hey, hey, just gonna give it a second there. It's been a little minute. Happy Sabbath day to everybody. It is Sabbath evening that I'm coming live. So, so definitely anybody and everybody who's in the spirit of the Sabbath day today and keeping the Lord's commandment, all praises to the Most High. Let me close this door. I was excited to get here. 1 second. All right. All right. All right. So this is really my first live stream. The last stream we did that you see on our YouTube channel there was pre-recorded. Then we put it out. So, but I am going to be, God willing, I'm going to be taking comments today. Having a nice discussion today about some of our topics, some of the questions that we have here today. And I would like to reiterate, today's podcast is really we're taking a closer look at a father and his relationship with his daughter and how impactful that is to both of them in their lives, long term and in the moment. What can we get out of that relationship? What can we learn from putting that relationship under a microscope in terms, and how does it relate to us today when as parents, and then relating back to our childhood with our parents. So all of those things, I think they're very important to discuss. I think it's beneficial. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm communicating though here with my engineer as well, just making sure. Making sure I can see your communication when you guys are communicating with me. All right. I know it's the evening, but that's okay. Okay, wonderful. So I will be able to see you guys when you communicate with me. So if you are out there today in the world, feel free to drop me a hello or what's going on. Let me know that you're here. All right, all right. Once again, my name is Solomon Israel, and this recording is actually being done at Tap In, the American Podcast Information Network. And but this podcast, the private network podcast. So the network that's broadcasting it doesn't necessarily uh, uphold the views and the comments that I'm going to make here. All right, so let me see. Let me make sure. I'm just waiting this. All right, let me make sure. I might have to do this. I might have messed something up. You know, it happens. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm a persistent person. All right. Might have to get your comments on the actual website, the platforms themselves. I'm actually we're recording through a program that I clearly am not perfect or professional, but I do have some assistance here. You dig? All right, we are going to be talking about again. We are going to be talking about a close look at a father and the daughter relationship and how it impacts their lives. Let me double check this here. Mm, 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 mm. All right, I don't see my live stream on Facebook. Oh, yes, I do. All right, so I do see that I am on Facebook here. I do see we got a share here. So I just want to make sure now that I could all right. All right. Just making sure everything is here before we get started. I think this is going to be an impactful conversation. I think it needs to happen. Otherwise, why would I bother talking about it if it doesn't need to happen? It'd just be some irrelevant conversation. Um, so, with that said, I am going to start moving forward here in the discussion. Um, I want to present a few questions first and foremost, and run through these questions together. I was hoping I can see the comments, but I think I kind of messed something up here, so I might not be able to check out the comments uh, live how I had anticipated I might have, but I still want to go through the conversation. Fret not. I was just checking out Brother Elijah, and like Brother Elijah said, oh, no wonder. Why is it locked? All right. So, all right. I think, I guess when it's streamed on my Facebook, it's streamed private for some reason, even though my page is public. So that may have been an issue. So I just made that public. Over here, what I need to do. All right, y'all, bear with me. I'm just getting where I need to be. All right, checking my cameras here. Checking the comments here just to make sure. Oh, I can't do that there either. Okay, well, I might decide to restart. Find out what we should do here. All right, trial and error, you know. This is one of the things that I am going to be talking about consistently too on all the podcasts is all right. Okay, I see him. Happy Sabbath, my brother. Hey Isaac, how you doing, my brother? Good, good. I can at least get my Facebook family in here. That's good. Um, that's good to see. That's good to know. So we're gonna continue and we're gonna make it happen here. Shalom, shalom, my brothers. And it's good to see my brothers specifically. Good, good. Yeah, Isaac, Ramya, how you doing, my brother? Ramya, I appreciate all the assistance, my brother. That's my engineer here in the comment section. Always coming through for the brother, you know. All right, all right. So one of the first questions that I think that it's important, and Isaac, maybe you can jump in, and Ramya, you can jump in too on the comments. Is I want to go ahead and present the first question here. Is what are the benefits of a father in the household? You know, I want to just go back to a basic. Understanding of something here, you know, what are the benefits of a father in the household? So, me personally, you know, just at my thought, you know, thinking about it, um, I just I feel like the benefits, and I don't want to use the word feel, but the benefits of having a father in the household are not really, they're limitless in reality. They're limitless. Um, I believe the household in general can be more confident, can be more competent, can be more capable, can be more inspired, as a unit and everyone individually, with the father in the household. I believe that he brings a sense of safety, of when you have a strong man around. I believe that people, as far as kids and wives or different family members, I think there's a level of not just of comfort, but of peace. you know um I believe a man brings order. He likes to be, to have things in a certain way, and I believe that's good structure for a household. Those are just some of the things that come off of the top of my head that I definitely believe man, a father itself, can benefit a household in general. So, um, so if anybody out there does have, something they want to jump in on, then or comment on that. But I definitely, I think there's limitless value in a father, and that his decision making and that his teachings can go a very long way in his child's life, and then it can also continue in someone else's life and someone else's life and someone else's life, because it can be that impactful. It can be the type of idea or the type of perspective that can really change somebody's life in general. So I believe dads have a knack for doing that, especially when it comes to failure, especially when it comes to emotional subject. I think dads can, fathers can separate their emotional, their emotion a bit better, and to keep their child in a focused state where they can still accomplish what they have to, like sports, for example. Sports is very emotional. I had, grew up doing sports when I was a kid, and my daughters, I made sure that they did sports because it's something that I enjoyed. I felt that it was a good stage for me to teach them about life, teach them about difficulties and challenges. So we definitely, explored that as far as I can take it, until they got a bit disinterested in it, and that's all good. But in sports, it was an opportunity. It's an opportunity to teach about failure. It's an opportunity to teach about discipline. It's an opportunity to really have a stage to communicate with your child, to get to know your child, to see how your child works with others, to guide them, to help them understand what they are experiencing. Yes, yes, share the convo if you can. I appreciate you, brother. To share, or to help our children, deal with difficulties, to deal with challenges. Like if there's something that they can accomplish well and somebody else can do it well, we can teach them how to look at that from a positive perspective, how to be fueled by it in a positive way, how not to be envious of it, how not to be jealous of someone else if they got something before they did, or if they understood something they didn't, and things like that. So I think that's pretty impactful. I think that's pretty important overall. So I think that do bring that to the table. And that's an important part. That's an important piece to the puzzle. I think, especially with daughters, giving them the insight on long-term things in their life. So I think that play a pretty valuable part in the household. Not to say that moms don't, because that is actually the next question. What are the benefits of a mother in a household? What are the benefits of a mother in a household? Yes, sir, my brother. Oh, okay. I see y'all coming up. I see y'all. I'm gonna address that. We're gonna get back to that question real quick now that I got a couple brothers there. I got a couple answers up there. I like that. Good. We're getting somewhere. See, persistence beat resistance here. The father is a necessary balance in all areas of child development. Absolutely, balance is the key there. Necessary is a word that stands out in that statement right there. Necessary balance. Wonderful, wonderful, absolutely, and I agree with that. And Isaac, I'll say on one of the most pivotal keys of the learning process in life is having examples of what's being taught. Hence, is why the Lord had to come down and be an example to us. It's hard to learn without having an example. Absolutely, absolutely. And think about that for a moment. The Lord put himself through drama to be an example to us. He really made that happen. So that's pretty impactful there. And then the scripture that the brother Isaac just put right there, 1 Peter 2:21, and it says, "For even hereunto we were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps." So as a man too, understanding the relationship between Christ and the man, knowing that Christ is the head of man, then we got to understand that we're going to suffer for our creation, just like Christ suffered for his creation. We're really a reflection of that, you know. So the hard difficulties that he got with us is the same difficulties we may have with our children and with our family in general, you know. So that's something definitely to point out. I appreciate and I love the fact that you pointed that out, my brother. Happy Sabbath indeed, my brother Ramya. Isaac, absolutely. That's a great scripture to present here. hmm I am going to go to the next question here. The next question, I'm going to put that back up there, is right here. What are the benefits of a mother in a household? What are the benefits of a mother in a household? Personally, me, um, growing up with a mom in the household too, I think the benefits of mom was limitless as well. I can I you know all, my faith in God comes from my mama. My mama had a lot of faith in him, just because she planted the word in me in general. So I'm very grateful for that. My mama had me in sports. She had me in a lot of things as well. Kept me busy, always comforting. And that was one of the things. Even as a child, I know my mama was a little soft on me. I made sure she was soft on me. I knew how to get around her, and that's something as today that I realize and I recognize and I really appreciate now. How she handled me versus how she could have handled me versus how a dad in my life would have handled me. I could appreciate the comfort that she did gave me. It doesn't make up for the void of the dad aspect of it, because there was essential things that I needed at a certain time, even though I got them later in life from my Father in heaven. But there were some things that could have been definitely helpful for me, in my development as a young man as well. So, but as far as the mother in the household, being that a woman and that a mother, a mother, by the way, a mother in the household. It means with child, right? A mother, not just a woman. We'll address the man and woman in a minute, but a mother specifically in a household. Um, in a household too, by the way, in a household. That means there has to be management of a household too, you know? And a mother plays a part in the management of the household. I think having a mother, let's say, void of a father, if it's only a mother in the household, you know then in this case, then the mother has to handle all her business, and take care of the whole household in general. But if it's also a mother in a household, then definitely, I think, personally, one of the benefits of having a mother in the household is the ability to teach your children uninterrupted, and ability to work on your children's, character, uninterrupted. Especially if she gets to stay in the household, that is a big thing. If mom has to go to work and she has to get in the world and she has to hustle and bustle, it is definitely going to be an imbalanced household as well. How can there be balance if dad got to get out and work and mama got to get out and work? The household is empty. And so, and absolutely a necessary, like you said, a necessary balance to a child's development. I definitely see the balance between man and woman. I see the balance between father and mother. I can appreciate that. I can definitely, and outside of the benefits of a mother and a father in a household, well, what are the benefits? What are the benefits of a child in a household? Shabbat shalom, sis, Ashaya. I'm glad that you guys are here. What are the benefits of a child in a household? What does a child bring to a household? Any thoughts there? Would like to share your thoughts? What does the child bring? What are the benefits of a child into a household? Me personally, I think childs bring unlimited joy. They bring unlimited responsibility. They definitely help level up your character. They bring, uh, not just regular challenges, but in every area of the life. The child bring much love and purpose to legacy. Expound on that a little bit if you can. A child brings much love and purpose to legacy. Do men think about legacy these days like that? I wasn't taught too much about legacy personally, but that's probably because I didn't have a dad in my house. So, maybe if I did have a dad, because I do speak to it somewhat to my daughters, but because I got daughters, I know that one day, God willing, if I do a pretty good job, if I do an okay job, if they can find an okay man, in my opinion, if I do my job towards that, I would hope that they're open to a legacy of their own, of them and their husband, and furthering their husband's legacy. So, but it wasn't something that was taught to me too much. It's something that I necessarily discussed too much in my time, or when I was growing up, about leaving some type of legacy. Although I always was, in my mind, I always was family orientated mentally. I always thought about it. I always wanted to be, a family man as far as I could reach back in my mind. Probably because I didn't have it, So, but as far as the child, my child really brought the best out of me. Really brought the best out of me. It teaches me even until today. Even till today, m- to be a gentleman, to be a gentleman, because I got daughters, So I try my best to be gentle, and me being I was very competitive. I really enjoyed challenges growing up. I was very, you know, he said, "Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward." So children are a blessing, are a reward from God. Character development 101. He's gonna reward you with some of that. Praise God, brother Ramya. He said, and then Sis Ashaya says, "You pass down to your children we never are to do for ourselves, but to pave the way for our next generation." Very good point there. We just building ourselves up to pass down, and then they should build themselves to pass down, and just like passing the rock, passing the ball. That's the way of our our foreparents. We are to teach God, love, correct, and prepare them. The Most High trusts us with these children, so that's a weighty matter. Yeah, absolutely. And the book say too that one of our purposes is to raise up a righteous seed. Raise up a righteous seed. So, and absolutely, I tell my kids all the time, although you came through your mama, you still also come through me. You just came through me first. I'm just the one who kick it off in this sense. But I'm just a vessel too. And like I tell my children, you still belong to God. You don't belong to me. You're in my care. You belong to God. He has his own purpose for you. I'm not going to make you do my purpose in life and what I want you to do in life. That's not what I look at it like. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you what God's purpose is for your life. And then you find the rest of that. You find whatever the journey entails between you and God in your life, and use some of the principles so on that end, I keep myself busy with my child. My child really has changed my entire life. So the benefits of a child in a household are probably even greater than the benefits of if a mother and father on their own in the childhood in the household, So that's good stuff right there. Now, I do want to get a little bit into some detail, just because if we formulate the questions properly enough, we can really get to context and really get to understanding a few things a little bit deeper, or from a different perspective that might shine a different light. So between a mother, a father, and a child, Brother Ramya says, train up a child the way he should go, and when he is old, he would not depart from it. Absolutely. And we got our job to do. Train up a child the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Me and my daughter was just reading about the prodigal son. And I just had her reading the scripture, showing how the son was trained. The son was trained when he was young, and when he grew up, he went away. He wanted his money and he went away. And then finally, after he got his money and he went away, life humbled him. And God put him in the position where he was in want, and he didn't have what he needed. And he was so bad, he was in such a bad position that he decided to repent. So he did repent. He decided to repent, and he decided to go back to his father's house. And when he got to his father, we said, we can't leave it up to the world to guide our children. No, absolutely we cannot. We absolutely cannot. Righteous guidance is a must. It's a absolute must. We cannot let the world have their way with our children. We cannot. I already know, And and for me, I think one of the difficulties in having not having a mom and dad in the same house is raising a child. Satan has a lot more room. Satan has a lot more room to manipulate the mind of the child and of the parents when they're not on one accord and they're not all together accountable to each other. That's definitely an issue. But as far as got some a little bit in my eye here. I don't know what it was, but as far as a child though in a life, I don't think there's anything that's more special than that. Nothing will level you up more than that. Um, but let's say now you have a child. How does that happen? How does that happen? How does a child even occur? You got man, you got woman, biologically. So, and I want to point this out. It may seem like a silly question. It really may seem like a silly question, but I think that it needs to be asked just for context a little bit later on in the discussion. How does a child occur? Well, a child occurs between the man and the woman having relations. That's how a child occurs. Right or wrong? So that process begins biologically with the man. He's the beginning of that process. The man has a seed, and the seed is then passed and planted into the womb of the mother. Teamwork make the dream work. The process, though, began with the father planting the seed. Now, development happens. The child is born through the mother. The mother carries that seed. Hopefully, she carried it with the father side by side. And you know why that's important? The cognitive function of a child in the womb can actually hear and record what's going on outside of the womb, including the voices that are sounding off. The language that's being spoken is being cognitively ingrained in a child's brain when they're in the womb. So the lack of a father and the father's voice soothing the spirit, soothing the neurological response to the engagement, soothing the mind consistently throughout the process of that pregnancy. That's a very important part for the child, even in the womb, to every time it hears the man's voice, that the woman, the mother that's caring and nurturing for that child is giving a positive reaction to that engagement and to that, because if the mother is getting a negative reaction to the engagement of the man and the woman while the baby is in the womb, then that's going to become neurological, that's going to be passed down neurologically to the child that's in the womb. How you doing, my brother Darren? All praises to the Most High, brother. Praise God. Good to see you. Hopefully you can stick around here, just chopping it up this Friday night, my brother. This Sabbath evening, talking about a father and his relationship with a daughter. If you want to jump in, feel free to jump in, my brother. Ask any question you would like, or jump in on the question that we have on the board on the screen here. But definitely, when a child is in the womb, though, and a husband, for example, or the man comes in, and communicates with the woman, the host, the person who's holding the child in the womb, and then he comes in yelling at her and screaming at her and cussing her out and making her feel scared or making him feel worried. All of those chemicals that are being created inside of her system through the neurological communication is getting passed down right into her baby, because it's getting passed into the bloodstream. That's because the body is going to create whatever chemicals it needs to create to handle the situation that's at hand. So, for example, if you run into a bear in the forest, the body's going to create adrenaline. You're right, adrenaline to run through, and then the heart's going to pump real fast, so it can rush that adrenaline through your body, so you can get courage. The body knows what to do. So if a man comes home and he start yelling and cussing at his woman and his girl and doing all of that while she's pregnant, especially, then it's gonna affect the baby negatively, and the baby's gonna possibly have a negative reaction to the father after they're born. Every time they hear the father's voice, they might have the same response. You never know. This stuff happens. And the probability is high. I can't say that I took the test or that I have the actual data for it, but I know that there's plenty studies on it. And I know that I've taken a look at some of these studies where the babies actually can even recognize the language in the proper language. Like if you try talking to the baby in a different language and get a different response. So that's a very important part of the development of the child. The part that the man plays in that development from before the baby's even out of the womb. Men have to remember that's your seed in that womb. That's your seed in there, bro. That's your seed in that womb. You need to take care of that womb. You need to take care of that host. You need to make sure that person is comfortable, but also that person that's holding your child is making the good decisions as well. As a father who loves their seed and loves their child, you want to make sure that part too. So just like the host wants to do their best, and the man has to do his best to make the host or the mother comfortable and happy and relaxed and peaceful in her environment, also a man though does have to make sure that the mother does conduct her maintain her health in a way that's beneficial to the womb and to the child. That'd be important. That's important to somebody like me, for sure. All the cravings you be getting, I get it. I know. Just want to eat a cheeseburger, ice cream, and potato chips all at the same time. But that's not healthy for the womb. That's not healthy for the baby. That's inflammatory. So all those things, though, for a person like me, for a dad like me, yeah, I'd be like, no, you got to eat healthy. You got to eat good food. You got to eat fruits and vegetables and greens and nuts and seeds and grains and water and tea and all that good stuff. That's a form of caring for your child, isn't it? Is it not? That don't count? Yeah. Oh yeah. Birth started life started at birth, huh? Not for me, not for somebody like me. I need to take care of what's growing. The life that's growing. If it's already growing, it's already life. So you mean science can consider, an atom or bacteria, a life form, but it doesn't consider a womb? Come on, this is the joke. Yeah, that's how, So there's levels to this. There's levels to this. Now check this out though. Let's switch it up. Right? Now, what is there a benefit to the mother and father of the child to raise up their child together in the same household? Is there a benefit to the mother and father of the child? So to them individually, is there a benefit of them staying together to raise up the child in the household together with them? Is there a benefit? And is there a benefit to the child? Is there a benefit to the child to have the mother and father in the same household? That's important to understand. My brother Isaac, says infants whose mothers experience high levels of stress while pregnant, particularly in the first trimester, show signs of more depression and irritability when born. Absolutely, I can see that. That's passed down. And to add to that, children all the way to about a year in their age still maintain the chemical makeup of the parent. So, for example, if the parent was dealing with the fear and all, you'll still see the trauma in the child all the way up to a certain age. Absolutely. Or if the parent was eating certain things, if the parent might have been diabetic or something, you may have elevated levels of in the child's blood for a certain amount of time. Those things actually, yeah, absolutely, they happen. So, and again, there's a million studies on it. Don't take my word for it. But now, is there a benefit to the mother and father of the child to raise up their child together in the same household? I think there is. I definitely think there is. To the mother and the father. Let's not if there's a benefit to the child just yet. Not that the first part, that's the second part of the question. But the first part of the question, is there a benefit to the mother and the father to raise their child together in the same household? I think so. I think you can protect the child better together in the same household, first of all. Protect them from what, you might ask? From anything. From everything. Every level of crazy that there is. Little baby crazy and all full-blown serial killer crazy. So I think there's definitely a benefit of the mother and father. And a benefit for the mother and father specifically is to have a peace of mind that your child is protected to this extent. Word to my brothers. That does mean that mom has to have some home time. Mama has to have some home time. I know the sisters got to work sometimes in this day and age, and the way that everything is this day and age, how society puts all this pressure, and income is hard to come by and bills are easy to find. I get it. We got to work together. I get it. But carry the burden, brother. Definitely. It is more beneficial for your rib to be at home, taking care of things, keeping things in order for you, taking care of the seed, of your seed, of the children in the household in general. Because nobody wants to, you don't want to have the mother of your child gotta go be obedient to another man in another place. You don't want to have her just, all of that is just unnecessary. It's just unnecessary. You know something? I got an example. I'm gonna save that for another show. But definitely, I think one of the benefits for a mother and a father to be able to stay in the same household and raise their child is a peace of mind. I think financially, I think it works out better too. I think there's ways that you could cut spending when you're together, if you can, and still work together to save money. Like cooking at home. Cooking at home is much more affordable than eating out every day. So what people have to do is just spend time. So dad, he's working all day, so it's beneficial if dad go ahead, he's working for food to supply and to provide for his family. So dad go get the food, or dad, there's money for the food as long, but dad making that happen. But if mom is at home, I can see why it would be beneficial in a good way of her to utilize her time to make food at home, to save money for the family in general, so you can do other things with that money, cater to the wife, cater to the husband, son, cater to the family, take the family out, go do. So you got to work together to save to save money, whether you dropping off the wife somewhere or wife dropping off the husband at work so she can move around with the kids, and then picking up. There's a lot of different ways that you can really, work together in a household to benefit each other. And then you can actually have a relationship too. The Bible definitely talks about keeping a household intact to the point where divorce was not even designed by God. Divorce is not something that was from the beginning. The book tells us that. So God sees value in a mother and a father staying in a household with their child, raising the child, training the child up in the word of the Lord, in the instruction of the Lord. Clearly, God sees the benefit of it. And is there a benefit of the child? Is there a benefit to the child with the mother and the father being in the same household as the child? I think there is. Why wouldn't there be? I think, I shared a picture the other day of a post. Someone posted it. It was a picture of a kid drew of them in the middle between two people. I'm assuming it's mommy and daddy, obviously, if there's a child there. So, child had to get been created. So sitting between mommy and daddy, and then the picture was captioned, what the child drew for the word safe. And they drew themselves between their mom and their dad, like in the bed, under the blanket type of thing. So I thought that was pretty impactful to enough where I shared it with my friends and family, in my community, on my pages and my platforms. I think there is a great benefit to the child with mom and dad in the household together with the child. I think there's a level of peace for the child. There's a level of peace to mom. There's a level of peace that increases at home in general, overall, for everyone, knowing that those who are part of the household are in the household regularly, consistently. I think there's definitely a benefit of it. I know this day and age, people break up before the baby even born. That's a bad habit. That's a bad trend. That's not a good trend, not in my opinion. That's not a good direction. We have to be much more careful, with just having children in general. Who we're having children with and how quickly you decide to have children, all that stuff, because a child is real. It's real. It's the blessing of the Lord. It's the outcome of procreation. It is the act of creating. So we can't just, we have to understand these things, because we can have a baby and we can really mess up an entire human being. We can mess up their perception of life. We can mess up their perception of reality. We can mess up everything. We can mess up generations to come. We can really cause a lot of damage to other people through our children by what we do and how we, raise our children. So something to think about. New question. And I don't know if there's any young ladies out there or any other sisters out there. Here's a question. Is marriage important to young girls and women anymore? Is marriage important? I'll say for those who are unmarried, is marriage important to young girls and women anymore? And I'm also going to ask the same question about the brothers, about the young man, but I just starting one question at a time. But if I would hope it is. Personally, I hear people say that it is, but I don't, it doesn't look like they're living life like it is though. Because if marriage is important or marriage is the goal eventually, then I would think that a person would take steps towards that goal in mind all of their life. I don't think there's any point for a young woman or for a young girl if she cares to be married at some point in her life to live quote unquote the single life. Like, I don't think that's a benefit. I think it's not best. So as a dad, I mean, I try to teach my daughter to keep herself away from those situations and to keep herself low key, to keep herself modest as possible, you know. Um, I try to give her the game to that extent, you know. Let her know, you know, that there's great value in a marriage and working together with somebody. And then I try to be a reflection of the protection part of that relationship because although, you know, I want her to find a husband one day, you know, and I want them to find a husband one day. I want them to find a good husband. I want them to find a good man, you know, somebody who gonna do right by them and stand on the principles, God's principles and morals and laws and statutes, you know, because I know that that will ultimately win at the end. So I try to be a reflection of that. So, you know, I talk to my daughters, and they both say that they do want to marry one day. So I remind them of that. I remind them regularly, you know, to keep a low profile, don't get too wrapped up now, you know, and you know, keep everybody in the friend zone. Everybody in the friend zone. Everybody's the brother zone. You know, everybody. You just getting to know people. Like I preach that to them because I don't want them to start trying to find more out of life than's really there at this time based on their feelings. You know, I want them to consider God in their actions all the time. So that's why I teach them what I teach them. But I think, I mean, to them, they say it is important to them. But then, you know, they gotta live their life like it's important to them because one day they're gonna be in a situation where a man is going to consider them for marriage, maybe, you know, God willing, and then, you know, they might want to know more about him, obviously, you know, and because that's what you want to consider, you know, who you are, you know, and who you are is who you've been, you know, so to that extent. So I think you know, at least I'm teaching it to my daughters that, you know, and I do ask them and they tell me that it is important to them. So, you know, in my personal experience, I think it is important to some girls, you know, and I think it's important. I think if you would ask more girls or not, I think more girls would say that it's more important to them, even probably more than boys. Um, but at the same time, I think boys, I don't know, I might be wrong though, you know, but I think like when it comes to marriage, I think boys look at it like more seriously though. I really do. So that goes to my next question, right? My next question now is going to be: is marriage important to boys and young men anymore? Marriage important? Anybody out there who is not married, who's courting, who's dating, anything like that? And you know, personally, marriage is absolutely important. I think that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal in life in general, is to bond. You know, I don't think it's a million percent necessary that you have to, but I definitely do think if if you're willing to go through that journey, if you like journeys in life, if you like adventures, you know, that's a that's a that's a wonderful ride. That's a wonderful ride. You know, it will definitely give you a lot of character development in your life. I think that's really what it is too, right? Like having a child and having a wife and having children and a family. I think it's all about character development. For man, for sure. You know, like you have to handle all of it. even if you don't know how to handle it, even if it comes in increments and you're learning on the way. You got to handle all of it all the time. So I definitely think that even me, I still believe in it 100%. You know, and I think men in general do also. I think we take it serious. Like if we're gonna do it, I, and whoever don't, it's just so silly. Like that don't make no sense. But you know, as a dad, you gotta you gotta show. I don't have young boys, but I was a young boy. you know, I can, I had ideas and I had thoughts of it. So I can see that. I can see that. Life sometimes will beat stuff out of you, though. Life will punk you and take things out of your heart, put the other things in your heart. That's what life do. But at the end, God's word is true. But now here's an interesting question. Here's the question I want to ask. Knowing how a child comes along, you know, the seed comes from the father, passed on to the mother. Let's say the child, my child, my daughter, for example. I use me because I can. I'm a real dad. I've been through this too. But the question is, does a man or father have a right to his seed? I know that this day and age, the way the court systems are set up in America and in the Western society, the woman has the right to the seed for the most part. But what's up with that? I don't know. I think the man has the right to his own seed. It's his seed. I understand that a woman has to carry that seed, and that is her choice too, like to take the seed in the first place. But if for whatever reason a child or the parents can't work it out, choose not to work it out, why doesn't a man have the right to his seed? By default, being that it's his seed. I don't know. Anybody got an idea? I know biblically it's on the man. The man's responsible for that seed all the way around the board. But society doesn't have it like that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? I know it's a little bit late today. I know I'm not going to get a lot of action, in engagement. But maybe if you guys check it out later, I'm going to check out the comments and see if you tap in. Oh, I get it. But I do want to hear your thoughts on it. Does a man or a father, or why does a man, really do, why does a man or father not have the right to the seed for the most part? So, but now let's take a little bit closer look to now at the relationship between a father and a daughter, specifically a daughter. So, one of the questions that I do want to ask is, what factor does a father play in raising a woman of character / modesty? I think modesty shows character. And is she first a child of character or a modest child? What part does a father play in the daughter growing up? with moderate characteristics or showing moderate behavior. Any dads out there that that can chime in, feel free, my brothers. I'm definitely gonna appreciate any commentary. Being a father of daughters myself, I'm definitely trying to raise two daughters of character, and it's difficult, but it's worth it. Reminding them what God thinks of everything. Sometimes they don't want to hear it. Like, oh, dad, I'm just a girl. It's just this and it's just that. But it's my job as a dad to show them, and it's not just that. It's deeper than that. And there are things that are deep. We can't always be shallow in life. I have to teach them that. These are my daughters. I have to teach them that. I don't always want to teach them everything but I do want to teach them everything. It's just some things are harder to teach than others. Some things I gotta watch my approach. Some things I gotta watch my timing, because, the world already got kind of a hand in them, grabbing them by the ear too. So it's a little difficult to maneuver at times, but I definitely think I play a great part in my daughter developing her character and developing modesty within her character. And the truth is that the dad, I see it in my daughters now. I see where they struggle and I see where they do well. I observe them all the time. It's my job to. I know when they feeling some type of way. Every time. They ain't gotta ever say nothing to me. I know. And I ask them right away. And you know what? As a dad with a daughter, they always open up. They always open up. I don't know if that translates later on in life, but I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping that when a man asks them how they doing and because he picks something up, I'm hoping that my daughters continue to communicate in their life the way they do. I think they're gonna have a good outcome if they do that. So when I ask them, hey, how you guys doing? Hey, and if they tell me, oh, it's nothing, everything's okay. But if I know better, I'm not gonna stop because I care about how they're feeling and I know they're not doing okay. That's a dad. I'm the dad. Why would I not want to investigate the matter further to protect my child? But that's just them in this age communicating with me, learning how to communicate with me, learning that when a man cares about them, he's going to consistently communicate with them. They need to know what that means. I need to teach them that. They're my daughters. I want them to be good communicators. I want them to open up when someone asks how they doing. I don't want, there's no reason to put a wall up in life with someone you're trying to work with. So I help teach them this because they work with me. I'm responsible for feeding them. I'm responsible for taking them places. I'm responsible for all of these things. So I look at that relationship that I have with my daughters, and I look at that as a great, example of what the relationship I have with my wife as well, if that's the case. Because if a man, listen, if you find yourself talking to your wife with one tone, but talk to your daughter with another tone, you probably out of order, brother. Think about that for a moment. There should be no reason that you talking to your wife with one tone, like probably a more aggressive tone, like we discussed before, when the baby's in the womb, But then you talk to your daughter in a real soft, delicate, careful tone. I don't think that's a good thing, So, because I'm a dad, man. I got two daughters. Girls are soft, man. Girls are very emotional. I never in my life would have thought that I would know this much about girls and women because I didn't have no children. But now that I got daughters, and not only, by the way, I'm divorced. So my ex-wife had 2 daughters as well that I had raised from a pretty young age up to before my daughters. So I raised 4 girls, really, to a much extent. And they all softies. They all act hard, but they all softies. I see it, but we got to a point with my daughters now, if I see it, sometimes I see it, and they see that I see it, and I just start walking to them, and they just start crying or start giving me a hug all the way. They already know I know. And they just come to me, and I just comfort them sometimes. I just comfort them, you know? Imagine your daughter having that type of relationship with her husband, where her husband knows that something is wrong with her. And he just looks at her, and the wife just looks at the husband, and husband knows, and wife knows, okay, husband knows something wrong. And he reaches out, and she just reaches back. You ain't even gotta talk about it, just reach back. Imagine that. How healthy that might be for a relationship. Versus nothing's wrong. I'm okay. Why not let it out? So I like that. I like that in my daughter, that she's able to do that. I believe I'm helping her communication in life for, when she does find a man that she wants to glorify God with and settle down with. So I think that's important. I think that's a lot. There is a lot of value in a dad looking at his daughter like, I'm gonna help you develop for your husband versus I'm just gonna raise you because you're my daughter. I think we got to look at it from that. I think it may be helpful, is what I'm saying. How you doing, my brother Vince? My brother from another. Glad all is well with you, man. Sorry to hear about your dad. But you are in my prayers, brother, often. So, but I'm just here, some general talk, I was checking out brother Elijah, and now that his class was over, just wanted to put some conversation out, but definitely don't mind any scriptures, any biblical perspectives. I try to put out. I'm definitely going. If conversation is engaged, I definitely have some tabs open here, ready to share more information. But now another question, and I would like to hear some feedback if I could. But I wonder, what part does a father play in raising a feminine daughter? And or is he not part of the feminization process of a girl/woman? What part does a father play in raising a feminine daughter, and or is he not part of the feminization process? Again, this is my show. I'm just going to speak on what I think, and based on my experience with my daughters. And anybody want to throw in some feedback or point out something I might be able to do better, feel free. I'm here to learn and share and grow. So, but what part does the father play in raising a feminine daughter, and or is he not part of the feminization process? I absolutely think that I am imperative in that process. I'm hoping that I did my job well enough to make sure that my daughters are feminine beings. I think there's a balance that men are gonna see them and assume that they bring them a certain balance, and I would like for them to be in their balance, to be in their femininity. I would like for them to play that position. I think men and women are a perfect combination. So I don't see why I wouldn't want my daughters to be feminine and to bask in their own, you know, gentleness and in their own elegance, you know, the delicacy of a woman. Really, I would like them to remind them, I like to remind them that they're delicate, that they're softer beings. I always want to remind that to my daughters, letting them know that they should be handled with care is very important for me to remind them, because otherwise, if a man is rough with them, they might think that's normal, and it's not normal that you're rough with a woman to that extent. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's important that I help them in that area too. I show them what masculine is versus feminine. If my daughter's with me and I got some work to do, and I got, and I gotta pick up some heavy stuff, I'm not gonna say, "Here, pick up this heavy stuff for me." She's gonna see me pick up the heavy stuff. I might say, "Hey, can you put that to the side for me right here? Can you hold my bag?" or something like that, help me a little bit. I think that's a part of the process, me teaching my daughter too, you know? Vince, let me see what you say here. It says, "That's tough. We play a major part. We have to help them balance modesty with their femininity. Let them know how beautiful they are with makeup and less let them know how beautiful they are with makeup and less clothes, and their beauty is part of how they act as well." Yeah, absolutely. We got to make sure that we let them know, you know, all of it, uh, in their natural state, and then the things they put effort into. I think, um, I do. I mean, how, what, how, what relationship is more significant to a young girl than the relationship with her father? I think the relationship with the mother is definitely important and impactful, but I see the relationship, I think, with the father, with the boy, and with the girl, to be honest with you, as probably the most relevant. I think just because his position as the leader of the group, you know, that's her first love. I got you, Vince. I got you. But I kind of read that back, but I appreciate you putting that in there. But yeah, I understood. It says, Ashaya says that's her first love. Her first love is her father. That's the first love, real, genuine love. Yeah, I ask my daughter to do anything for me. She'll do anything for me. I'll tell her, "Hey, I need you to run down the street and grab this for me and this and that, and she gonna do it all. She not gonna say nothing. She gonna do it all." hmm And I'm show a lot of appreciation. Why don't we carry that spirit over in relationships? That's another thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a little girl, what if you had a really good dad? Carry that spirit. But most girls who did have a really good dad do carry that spirit over too, by the way. It's really the young women and the young men who don't have a dad, really don't know what to carry over into a relationship. They're really lost in relationships because they don't really have good examples like that. In the eyes of a daughter, a father is perfect no matter his flaws. And that's good. That's like a boy to his mom too. Boys think like that about moms too. Mama's boys and daddy's girls. That's how it be. But daddy got to straighten that boy up. He might be mama's boy, but that's daddy's behind. you know. So, but yeah, I can see the value of a man. I can see the value of a man being extremely involved in helping his daughter be feminine and be modest, and you know, my daughter, listen, part of my daughter's feminine training, part of my part in her training, it's all about that order. Everyone has a role, absolutely. Part of me teaching my daughter what I need to teach her, I open her doors. But check this out. And I tell her, you just sit there. Don't open that. Don't you dare leave this car. If you open that door, you're actually going to get in trouble. Let me do my job. Let me set the standard for you. Now, I've done that for so long. And by the way, I told my daughter, if a boy doesn't do it, don't get mad, don't yell at him, don't cuss him out, just sit there. Just sit in the car and wait for him to open the door. And then if he asks why you're not getting out, all you have to do is let him know, I'm not used to opening my door. My dad always opened my door. And if he still don't want to open your door, consistently after that, then you're gonna have the decision to make. Do you want to be treated less than or more? But I tell my daughter, don't open the door. Not my daughter to the point where when she see a doorknob, she act like she allergic to it. She puts her hands up right away. I'm for real. And sometimes when we walking, I forget sometimes. Naturally, I just forget sometimes. Maybe I'm on my phone, maybe I'm doing something. And I'll expect her to open her own door. And then I'll see her jump and I see it right away. And I think, oh, get over there and open the door. You don't want her to open the door. You're doing your job right now. This is part of the job. You got to open the door. You can't you can't make it easy on nobody. You got to be on top of your stuff. So open that door. Rain, sleet, hell, snow. I have 15 things I got to carry. I don't care. I think that's important. Of her knowing that she has value. Little things like that. That she's cared for. That someone thinks enough of her to treat her with the utmost care. Definitely important for me as a dad to know that my daughter's gonna not settle for less than that. So I do think, that a man plays a part in it, and in her development. So my next question then is, how impactful? Is it impactful for a father to affirm his daughter's virtue when he sees it? What does that mean? To affirm his daughter's virtue when he sees it what does that mean, really? Well, when a father sees a daughter upholding godly principles, standing by them, to affirm that to her, I think is extremely important. Personally. Don't know what you think, but that's why I'm asking questions. So if I see my daughter look modest, I'm gonna tell her, man, I like the way you dress. I think you look great. I think you look, wonderful. I think you covering yourself properly. I think you're doing great, amazing. I would like for you to dress like this more often. I think men can't go and play with you. When you dress like that. They're gonna have to see more into you. Mentally. All these things. I always want to do. Or again though, is virtue something that she finds on her own? I'm not a woman. I know where my value and my strength lie. Women strive to be virtuous women. Are these principles and values you pick up along your life? Or do you come to a determination based on what? For me, I see virtue in my young daughter, and I teach her virtue. In my opinion, this is what I'm doing. This was part of my job to do, to teach her virtue, to teach her how to be virtuous. Man, you know what? When I be reading Proverbs 31, I'm reading the virtuous women. To be honest with you, that's a grinder. It's like a woman, a feminine woman handling a man's world. It's crazy. It's like she do this and she do that and she do this and she do that and she do this and she do that. And I'm like, whoa, that's something to strive for. Wow. That's impressive, impressive. And then I see my daughter, she'll have the more creative mind, and she wants to build something, and she wants to make something, and she wants to do this or do that, you know. All praises, me all praises. Every lesson is a blessing, and it's wisdom and it's gained during the experience. Absolutely, praise God, indeed. So absolutely, but but yeah, with my daughters, I'm always trying to point out the positive that they do when they do it, when they do something helpful. When I feel like when they do something even feminine, I always want to bring about their good qualities that I think a man would appreciate, so that they can work on them and do them, and be used to being affirmed, and be and and obviously, like I said, sometime I think it was this week, when I made a statement, and I said that, not just telling your daughter they're beautiful and they're pretty, but remind them that they're smart, and remind them how that they're thoughtful when they have their inquisitive moments, and remind them that they're kind when you see them stretch out their arm and helping somebody, or doing somebody, or being patient about something, or being kind about something, and reminding them how creative they are when they're problem solving, or when they're doing something passionately, or art or music or whatever. It ain't just always gotta be, you're beautiful, you're pretty. Because that's an easy way for them to be tricked when they go older. All a man gotta do is say you're beautiful and you're pretty, and you gonna remind me of my dad. That's that's too much of a straight line into their mind, in my opinion. I want them to be used to such a different array of compliments of the things they're doing. I just have to be aware and recognize it when I see them. So when I see these virtues in them, and all these positive character traits, and all these positive qualities, I want to keep reminding them, so that they know that they have them. And then somebody else, if they're only reminding them of the way that they look, they should be able to catch on and be like, this person only cares about how I look, which is the only quality that really I don't control. But my thoughts, those come from me. My creativity, that stuff comes from me. My kindness, that's my effort. And these are the things that we do want to put out there for our daughters as men. We cannot make it easy for these chump suckers out here. We cannot do that. They want us to. They want us to be off our game. Now, let's say you do that as a dad. You do everything right. You done did it all as a dad. You're the best you can, and as you knew better, you shared, and you taught, and you guided your child. The question then becomes, are they gonna pick the right man after you tried to show them what a man of character is? You try to show them what a man of God is. You try to show them how they should be treated with respect, how they should be cared for, how they should be, how a man should be careful with them, how a man should respond to them, how you teach your daughter all of these interactions between a man and a woman, and the balance. If you're doing your job. But then if you do your job, if a father does the job properly, will his daughter always pick the right man? What do y'all think? I don't know. My oldest stepdaughter picked a good one. She been with him, she been dating him since they was in high school. They ended up staying together, and they got married a few years ago. They just had their first child a few months ago. I think she's 25 now. He's 26 now, and they moved into they got married. Then they moved. I think they moved into to his mom's house. She was in their 20s already. They're already engaged, and then they got married. Then they moved into their own house, and they had a child. I love that. I love who she, and he's not in the word, like in the truth word like that, but he got, she teaches what she knows and I taught her, and he, you can see he got a fair guy. He not just out here trying to do whatever he want to do. That's good. I'm happy for her. But they don't always go like that. Sometimes, creeps get through. It's tough too for a dad who did try his best to see his daughter settle for a creep. Ooh, it gets you mad. I'd be like, but I'd be watching everybody. That's my job. My job is not done when she's 18. It don't mean I gotta keep protecting her. I stop protecting her for some reason. Of course I'm gonna keep protecting her. She could be 50 years old. I don't care. That's still my daughter, my seed. I'm still gonna protect her. I'm gonna still do my best to help her, teach her right. Always gonna have an open door for her. Because that's what I want her to know about men. A husband, if my daughter gets with a husband and they get to arguing, I want him to have a soft heart with her too. She got a job, she got a responsibility in the engagement, the communication, and the relationship. I ain't gonna, and she gotta hold up our part of our relationship too, as a father and a daughter. I hold her accountable as my daughter. Of course. Yeah, you gotta get your certain grades, and yep, you gotta be here on time, and you got a curfew and all that. Because I care about you. That's why I tell my daughter these things. That's why I'm so protective of my daughter. And when she go outside of my boundaries, it's because she's running into danger she might not understand. So I jump in. Try to explain to her why I say what I say. Give her the context to what I'm saying. Because that's my daughter. And again, my daughter live with me. So I gotta protect her. That's my responsibility. Every day. Take her to school every morning. All of that. Communicate. Hey, how was your day? All that. She got to get the whole thing, the whole shebang. And then I hope that I'm consistent and I do it well enough where she can take some of that with her. But can I dictate who she's going to pick ultimately? No, not for real. I pray to God, though, and I keep doing my job. But I'm sure, that I ain't the only one. But what I'm supposed to do? Should I just approve everybody then? That's the next question. Should dad approve or vet every man and his daughter that his daughter considers to be more than friends with? Personally, I want to. I don't know if that's what you call overbearing. I don't know if that's where you hit the limit and say, oh, well, he's too strict now. Maybe. But me personally, yeah, I would like to see who you're interested in. I would like to vet them. I would like to see what they're about. I would like to try to see the type of character that they have. And I have my ways to knowing if the character is on the up and up. I know how to communicate with people to the and apply my discernment, especially somebody younger than me, I think, for sure. To that extent, 20 years, 30 years younger than me. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I have a mental edge and try to see a little bit deeper than they may cognitively understand that I'm looking right now? And sometimes that takes patience. I might tell my daughter, ask some questions, ask this, ask that. How was this? How was that? I'm always asking questions too. Hey, how was this? How was that? My daughter tell me, oh, this boy take me on a date. Oh yeah, what did he talk about? What did he do? What did he wear? He put his hands on you. Was he trying to grab your shoulder? Was he trying to putting his hands on your thigh? This and that? Did he realize he was putting his hands on? All that I want to know. I want to know what type of guy you dealing with. And then I observe if I see them together, I'm always watching. There was one boy who, like my daughter, he always wanted to be hugging up on her. I'd be like, look, it ain't all for all that right now. I'm a dad. What I'm supposed to do? I love my dad. I don't want nobody messing. That's why I always preach to her, trying to keep clean, man. Try to stay modest. You know, try to remember God in all your decisions. You know, don't get so wound up. So, what do y'all think? Dad? No, not your business. Mom? She's like, no, no. I want her to ask me. I don't know. But me personally, I do want to approve and vet anyone that my daughter wants to be more than friends with. I don't even want her wasting her time on those scrubs. I don't even, I want to see value in them even before you go into that stage. Like, don't really give nobody a chance in a sense. Just observe everybody until someone earns a chance, you know? Like, you shouldn't be guessing. Because, sometimes you convince yourself of stuff. You ignore things. You don't want to be doing that. So, But me, I think I would probably disapprove. Yeah. So next question. This is probably been my last question here. What is the impact of mom following dad's lead to a man's daughter, and what is the impact of that to those around her, including a future husband? So if you got mom and dad in the household, and they're raising daughter together. Give me 1 second. If you got mom and dad in the household and they're raising daughter together, and mom is following dad's lead, what does that teach the daughter? What if she's not following dad's lead? What does that teach the daughter? How does that communication go? How do you settle with that? That's something, if you guys got any thoughts, what is the impact of mom following dad's lead to a man's daughter, and what is the impact so even in their future life, like if the household is a war zone, if it's to that extent, if mom and dad are not working together, mom's not necessarily following dad, maybe dad's not necessarily leading, whatever the situation is, what's the impact to a child? What does that do to her perception of relationships? Does she grow resentment towards people who have healthy relationships? I don't know. What do you guys think? Feeding a woman's spirit is the best fuel a father can instill in his daughter, building a strong woman to guide her future family and guide them in faith and strength and on the struggles life can throw in the way. I hear you. Rosalie, I hear you. But I do want to say, I think it's a man that's supposed to be the strong one in the relationship and guiding his family in faith and in strength on life struggles. I personally, I think that is the man's role. I think a woman needs to feel comforted and protected of life's struggles and life's, and shouldn't feel the need to be so strong, and I know that life is crazy right now, and life puts us in a bunch of situations, but I do believe, that is more of a man's place, though. I know a woman has to feel in the shoes when there's no one there for her. I was actually just having a discussion with a brother today, I think it was, in a couple. I'm always talking to the brothers, but even, why does a woman have to be so strong? Like a woman who has a child, and then she got her own crib, and she got her own bills, and she got her own car. Like, why do you have to have all that in general, though? Like, let's say if your dad is alive, like, why not shoot over to your dad, save money, help dad, have dad help out? Like, what is the point if you're a single mom, for example? What is the point of having, that much burden on you, where you got to pay all these bills too? Like, I know it's better to have a husband and have a mate, but if that's not the case, then what is the point of having that type of independence if it's burdensome? If the dad is leading correctly, then yes, but if he is leading the family to turmoil, then absolutely not. So, I can understand that. Mimi, I can understand that for sure. If that's the key word, if he's leading correctly. The question is, what is leading correctly then? And leading correctly according to who? According to what mom wants in the household, or according to God wants in the household, or is the husband doing whatever he wants regardless of God? And because obviously, and one of the things I always say is, if you're gonna buck the system, you got to buck the system when the system is trying to go against God. But if the system not like for example, maybe if leading the house correctly, think about that, leading the family into turmoil. No one wants to be led into turmoil. But let's say a husband is like, or and just speaking in the household in general, because a daughter is watching, and the husband is like, hey, I don't want you wearing this, or I don't want you putting this type of makeup on, or this and that. Is that is that considered leading incorrectly? Is that considered leading the family into turmoil? Because my thing is, when you buck the order of the house, you know, what is at stake compared to what you bucking the order for? You know, because the consequences of bucking the system at all is chaos. It's a perception, a skewed perception of love and family and relationship in the mind of a child, especially a young woman. So if she sees her mama combative regularly with her dad, that's almost teaching her first to be combative with her dad specifically. And then second, that's how far along is that going to resonate into the rest of her relationships? Like it says right here, what is the impact of mom following dad's lead to, and what is the impact of that in long term for her, including a future husband? So if mom is questioning dad all the time, if mom is feeling she knows what's best for the family, if mom wants to have her girls nights out on a regular basis and dad don't like it, and then they're fighting every couple times a month over it, or mom wants to do this and that and dad don't like, what does that do for her? As a dad, personally, I want my daughter to be agreeable to a man. I don't want my daughter arguing with her man all the time. I don't want to see that. I want to have faith in him. That's why I'm doing my job, so she can pick a good one. Someone that she can trust, that she can follow with a free mind, with a peaceful mind. That's the whole point of a dad being how he should be in his daughter's life. And at least that's in my opinion. That's what I'm doing with my daughters for sure. Teaching them how to be modest young women, teaching them how to be on top of their stuff, so that, because I asked them if they want to be married in life, and they say they do. So I want to help them be successful. Mimi says, no, that is the dad showing his daughter to respect her body, and so mom should be okay with that. As you see, I agree with that. I agree with that. As long as dad is leaving from a place that is filled with love and purity, but also through strength and security, then he is leading the house correctly. Absolutely. That's what I agree with that. I completely agree with that. That's showing his daughter that he cares. That's care. If it was your daughter, even a mom, if it was your child, do you want your child wearing certain stuff at a certain young age? Okay, so what makes her grown at 10? What makes her grown at 13? What makes her grown at 15? What makes her grown at 17? What makes her grown at 18, really? You see what I'm saying? As a man, I always want to see. I don't care if my daughter's 35 years old. I want her to come to my house presentable, respectable, modest. how I taught you to be. That's a dad and his daughter. Why wouldn't that spirit carry on into a healthy relationship if it comes from a healthy relationship? There's a healthy relationship between a father protective of his daughter. They always say the stricter the dad, the better off the girl. Like literally, the daughters look back and be like, my dad didn't let me do anything. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful. But then then that daughter grows up. Why would that daughter grow up to be upset that her husband treats her like her dad did when she knows her dad cared about her? See, we got to get to the root of the issue. You see what I'm saying? Why would there be a problem with that? So I think there's much impact, supreme impact on mom following dad's righteous lead. I agree. Righteousness matters. You got to lead righteously. I can understand why a woman want to take it in her own hands, especially if a man is not leading righteously. If you learn leading the family into turmoil, into torment, for sure. That's tough to deal with. But you also have to have discernment. You also have to have discernment. When is God chastising? When is God purging? When is God putting the man in a position to take charge or the woman in a position to help in a certain way? Or when is he putting the family through something so they can bond together? You have to understand what's going on too. The best way to really stay on God's good side is keep the commandments though. That helps you. If you keep the commandments and you're going through tribulations, then you at least know it's chastisement because you're keeping up your end of the bargain. Only when you're not doing right, you have to wonder why you're getting busted over the head. Because it could be your fault. But I think there's much impact on mom following dad's lead. And all the way to every relationship that she can have in her life. With men for sure. I gotta do my job with my daughters. I hope I do a good job. I hope they find a good man that's gonna treat them right, that's gonna be nice to them, that's gonna lead them in the way, that's gonna keep them on the path of God, on the narrow path, But I definitely planted what I needed to plant in them too to buck the system when they see the system. Not after you marry the guy and have 3 kids with him, do you want to say, hey, I don't know this guy. Be patient and be aware and believe what you see. I tell them that all the time. A man shouldn't have to convince you to trust him. If he got to keep on telling you, trust me, you can trust me, you can trust me, if he keep trying to convince you to trust him, then you probably shouldn't trust him because if you're going to trust him, they need to show themselves to be trustworthy. I teach them this. How people communicate, how men communicate. The difference between feel, believe, think, and know. My daughter says, oh, Dad, I feel like that. I said, well, baby, stop feeling like that. Put some thought into it. Research a little bit so you can know a little bit more. And then you can say, I know. You don't have to rely on how you feel. Because feelings can be off. As a dad, yes. I am all over it. It's just it's not that it's messed up, but it's such a disconnect to see how this spirit is so acceptable in this stage. But that spirit can't get carried over into further relationships and then something happens along the way between father and husband where daughter, helpful, caring, great follower, daughter shifts over, and she should be shifting over into helpful, great following, all the same wife. She should be used to that balanced relationship between male and female, male, masculine and feminine, and she should be able to take that over into her new relationship and know how to be and how to conduct herself and how to move around the guy. Because most men, we kind of robotic. We all pretty much the same in certain areas. A lot of times we are. But there is a disconnect I think that might be part of the root to that disconnect. So, you know, nonetheless, I've been on here an hour and 45 minutes already. I didn't realize time goes by pretty quick when you're chopping it up and having some good time, just talking to people and just sharing some of your thoughts on things. But, I thought that was important to share. You know, thinking about me raising my children, think about me raising my daughter, think about the complications that they are having, that they can have, that they might have in the future, that they've already had, that I've had, that I might have. Just all of these things, putting them in the proper perspective. Ultimately, we are we're supposed to be working together. Like I said in the beginning, I tell my daughter all the time that, I'm your dad and I'm responsible for you, but you belong to God. And they need to always remember that. That's why they couldn't book the system. If they realize, hey, you're not treating God's property the way you're supposed to, then you gotta get God's property in safety. You know. But on my end, does anybody have any questions though? Anybody have any feedback? Anybody have anything to share? I do appreciate everybody who did pop in. I gotta learn how to cut this time down because I just like talking. I like sharing things. I like conversing with people. So that's a good thing. But Mimi, Rosie, Shaya, Vince, Isaac, Derek, my brothers and sisters, I appreciate everybody coming on, sharing with the brother. All praises indeed. If anybody does have any questions, any topics that you want to talk about, even if you want to just comment a little bit later on, feel free. I'll check it out, But just me, I really think that that a father is really the key to the puzzle here on a woman and a man getting along later on in life. I think our dad is really the impactful figure there, and he sets most of the tones. So again, I'm glad that you guys shared some of your thoughts and feedback, and make sure y'all stay tuned for next week, next Sabbath, next Friday night. This is evolving. This is developing. I'm learning how to do this, man. I'm sharing this with y'all, man. I'm sharing myself with y'all. This is ultimately what I want to do, what I came to do. I want to find a way to shine his light, find a way to share what the things that are on my mind, knowing that my mind stay on Christ regularly. So I know that if I'm sharing my mind, that I'm sharing Christ's mind, So absolutely, I appreciate you as well for your interaction and engagement, Mimi. Say hi to your family. My condolences again for your loss in your family. Still, you guys are always regularly in my prayers all the time. For a very long time. Your whole family. Let them know I say hello. And again, I'm glad that you guys popped in. Next week, check us out next week. Thank you everybody for commenting. Thank you everybody for sharing, for those who shared, for those who engaged, for those who bookmarked, and again, next week, if you want to come out, check us out. Again, this is evolving. So next, I want to be a little more formulated as I go. Today was a bit of a trial run as well, as you see in the beginning. But I do want you guys to add the YouTube page, spread the word, let people know that we are going to be coming live probably every Friday night for the most part after Eliza's session. I think it's I like to catch Eliza's session myself. It gets me motivated. It gets me in the right spirit going into the Sabbath day. But then, I also want to find a place and a time to shine my light. And Saturday is so many people doing lessons and doing what they do. And, I don't have a congregation. I don't have a church that I'm over. So that's not how I'm doing it. I got to find a way to shine my light the way I understand it to shine. But I do want to definitely incorporate more word, incorporate scriptures, incorporate more, and have a full broadcast, a full podcast, a full show. Yep, a little righteous nightcap, to bring in the Sabbath, some engaging conversation, maybe things that we can study on and learn on. But again, I appreciate everybody who came out. I appreciate everybody for sharing, for commenting. Catch us here next week. After, somewhere around 10:30, we're gonna find a way. Maybe 10:30 might be the time to give Elijah time to finish all the time. But we know that's creeping on the late creep. But we're looking for the late creepers then, on the Sabbath day, who are looking for a little extra conversation, wind down the day in a different way. Maybe some impactful and engaging conversation. But we are definitely going to catch a stride here eventually and catch a nice rhythm, and we're going to get into a flow of information sharing and the flow of positive energy, and it's going to get better and better, and it's going to be impactful, and we're going to share it, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to heal, and we're going to grow, and we're going to do everything that we need to be doing, and all the good things that we think about, and that we visualize and that we dream about. So I appreciate y'all again coming on Solomon's Porch. Again, a podcast designed to provoke thought towards the Most High and explore reality, because this is, we would like to take a look at the reality of the situation, and in spiritual things, for us, this is a reality. I know some people look at it like it's not, but we can, and through our podcast after podcast, we're going to prove that it is reality. We're going to prove it. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, but it does take time. It takes a stage. It takes engagement. It takes patience. It takes conversation. We got to study to show ourselves the proof, and then we got to prove all things. So appreciate it, y'all. Shabbat shalom. Thank you for coming on. See y'all next week, God willing, if it's God's will. And again, like, share, and I appreciate everybody for coming out and spending some of the Sabbath with us. Peace.